The September 1995 Beijing Conference held in Beijing, China adopted the landmark Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action, a comprehensive blueprint for women's rights and gender equality that remains the most significant global framework for women's empowerment. The document outlines 12 critical areas of concern and provides strategic objectives and actions to advance gender equality for all. We shall be discussing part of the list in this episode of the program. And yes, Nigeria is yet to fully conquer any of the 12. My name is Leah today. You're welcome. As always, we begin the business of the day from the trends table. Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister for the Economy, Mr. Evelyn, has confirmed the resumption of payment to about 19.7 million poor and vulnerable households, representing more than 70 million individuals captured in the National Social Register. Mr. Evelyn, who disclosed this in Abuja, affirmed the conclusion of the review process of the register and disclosed that the government had electronically disbursed 330 billion naira through cash transfers to poor and vulnerable Nigerians through the National Social Safety Net Coordinating Office, NASCO. The cash transfers is being funded from an $800 million World Bank facility and has been upgraded to 25,000 naira in 3 tranches from 5,000 naira in 6. The Federation Account Allocation Committee FAC this week shared a total of 2.225 trillion naira secured in the month of August 2025 to the Federation account of the federal government, states and local government councils. The amount, which is the total distributable revenue, comprised distributable statutory revenue of 1.479 trillion naira, distributable value-added tax VAT revenue of 672.903 billion naira, electronic money transfer levy EMTL revenue of 32.338 billion naira, and the exchange difference 41.284 billion naira. Oil and gas royalty, VAT, and CET levies increased significantly, while petroleum profit tax PPT, import duty, electronic money transfer levy EMTL, companies income tax CIT, and excise duty recorded decreases. The Federal Ministry of Finance has directed the immediate suspension of the 4% free on-board FOB charge levied by the Nigeria Customs Service on all imported goods. The directive, issued by Mr. Evelyn, Minister of Finance and corresponding chairman of the Nigerian Customs Service Board, was addressed to the Comptroller General of the Nigeria Customs Service. It states that the suspension follows extensive consultations with stakeholders, including trade experts and government officials, adding that the 4% FOB charge presented significant challenges to the Nigerian trade facilitation environment and economic stability. Nigeria's headline inflation rate eased for the 5th month in a row, dropping to 20.12% in August 2025 from 21.88% recorded in July 2025. Data from the National Bureau of Statistics (NBS) revealed that on a month-to-month basis, the headline inflation stood at 0.74% in August, reflecting a moderation compared to previous months. Next is our policy conversation on women and national development as we look into critical aspects of the 12 points plan of the Beijing Declaration. Nigeria's policy on gender discrimination is a complex mix of constitutional provisions, specific laws, and international commitments, but its effectiveness is often hindered by conflicting legislation and strong socio-cultural opposition. Workplace violence against women is a significant problem in Nigeria, with women across various sectors experiencing different forms of abuse. Women, particularly in sectors like healthcare, are subjected to physical and verbal abuse from patients, their relatives, or even colleagues. The issues are multifaceted, and gender-based violence can be a tool
to limit women's participation and career advancement, particularly in male-dominated industries like technology. Evelyn Onyilo is a media and communications consultant and gender equality champion. She joins me for this conversation to speak on the issues. It's nice to have you, Ms. Join me for this conversation.
Thank you, Leah. It's my pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I would like to get your position when we're talking women inclusion in governance and in the workplace, particularly. Should we be having these kinds of conversation in 2025?
We should. Because since Beijing in 1995, and incidentally, today it is 30 years after Beijing. And how far have we gone? We had a very fantastic declaration with like 12 thematic areas. And this particular area you are talking about, women's inclusion in governance and in the workplace, is one of those goals of the SDGs, Goal 5, to ensure that women are included in every aspect of life, women and girls. But where are we? We see that in inclusion in governance, we are far from getting to where we want to be. Access is there for women to be employed, yes. But after employment, what next? How do they fare in the jobs they do, in the offices where they operate? You find them at the lower rung of the ladder. That is the truth. But when it comes to leadership, in those organizations, you have more men. Some seats are preserved for men. Director generals are for men, EDs are for men, and so you have it. Even in the private sector, the banking industry, there are a lot of women doing the legwork. They are the foot soldiers. They are the ones running in the newsrooms. They are reporters. But editorially, you find that before they become editors, it takes, double, the work a man does for you to get up there. And when you get up there, it ends somewhere around the managerial position, hardly getting to the EDs and then finally the directors general. NTA has never produced a female DG. FRCN did something like this, like that, and for some months. But nothing substantive, not an announcement by government saying, yeah, we have appointed a female DG for Voice of Nigeria, NTA, FRCN, even the regulator, the NBC. Are we trying to say there are no women qualified to be at the helm of affairs? Federal permanent secretaries, well, it's not bad. We've had a few women permanent secretaries, but we can do more. We have had a few women head of service, 2 or 3, but we need to have more, going by the percentage of women in the service.
Still looking at the workplace where you've highlighted some of the issues that women face, you get to also find that when women try to voice out, there seems to be a kind of culture of silence. You hear questions like, are you the first? Are you the first one? In fact, some will go ahead to cite examples. This person has passed through this route, and so you're not the first, and others will pass through it. So, really, what is that ideal time when a woman in the workplace feels she's been wronged, especially if it got to do with either career progression or some of the malfeasances we talk about in the workplace? What is the ideal time to voice out?
That culture of silence has always been there. But things are changing. With awareness, women now know more about their rights. Women groups and networks have been drumming this over time. And you find out that the new cadre of women coming up in those workplaces are women that know what their rights are. They will voice it. If not, then all the work we've been doing in the past 30 years post-Beijing has come to naught. So I believe women should speak out. When you know you've been wronged or you've stagnated for a long time or in a position, I think you can meet up your boss and say, sir, I think I've worked hard enough to have a raise, to be promoted. If you don't do it, nobody will do it for you. And like as I was saying, in every organization, there are politically motivated scenarios that happen. And that is why most women don't get to the DG-ship. Because when such things are discussed, it is at the political level. When you sit and you think you will be announced as DG without you having the political connection, then you are wrong. What am I saying? Women should understand the political connections they need to relate, to come in contact with people in positions that will hear them out. I'm not saying go and sell yourself or sell your body or belong to a political party, but please do have a connection somehow with politicians, because they call the shots. Don't be too naive and think getting to a particular position where you need to go higher in position also requires you having that right political connections, right political contacts that will get you to where you are going, in addition to your hard work.
Okay, when we're talking the political contact and the connect, I'm tempted to ask you now, do you think we need to do more laws, specific laws to address some of these imbalances, or we should enforce the various ones that are available?
There must be a mechanism for people to seek redress in workplaces when it comes to their rights, when it comes to issues of intimidation, harassment, because your promotions can be delayed when a boss is there intimidating and harassing you, either sexually or for some other reasons, or they don't just like your face. It happens. I don't just like her. Why should I pen my signature for a promotion? So there should be in-house mechanisms and checks and balances where members should be able to voice their protest. And that's where the unions come in. I always encourage people to be active in unions. And except the union has been bought over, unions can take up such issues on behalf of staff that feel aggrieved for being just relegated, for being harassed. And then the women networks should even do more. They should take more interest in what happened in offices. Yes, there are NGOs doing a lot, promoting and protecting women's rights on issues. The picture is not so bright for women in terms of where to take their complaints to when they are marginalized, and I think we should do better than that.
In the real sense, most of these things are actually provided for in the Constitution when we talk of equality, when we talk of fairness. But in practice, as you have pointed out, they really do not exist. So in aligning these things, do you think that our system does not give a room to punish those who do wrong?
Yeah, you see, the VAP Act of the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act of 2015, to some extent, gives some kind of backing to marginalized or harassed and intimidated women and even men, because the act protects both men and women. But how far has that act been? How far is the implementation? Most women are not even aware there is an act. Yes, those that are in activism are aware of that act. And don't also forget that even the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, the CEDAW Convention, was signed by Nigeria. And we know that we have tried to domesticate CEDAW, and it was thrown out of the National Assembly. During the Saraki Senate, it was thrown out, and it was to be represented in this 10th Assembly, and we have not seen it. What we have now is the More Seats for Women bill. That's what is trending now. Laudable as it is, my fear is it should not suffer the fate of what happened to the CEDAW bill, the Gender and Equal Opportunities Bill. It is discouraging and disheartening for Nigerian women that our leaders up there, political leaders, are not intentional about putting in place structures and laws that really, really touch and affect women, protect women, and ensure that they have the rights and enjoy the rights that they are meant to enjoy. The Nigerian Constitution will tell you everybody has the right to this, access to this, but in practice it is not there. And that is why we are saying the Constitution also should be reviewed to be specific about such rights. Don't forget that this is also a country that has a national policy on gender. When I was Chief Press Secretary to the Minister of Women Affairs in Nachiroma in 2005 to 2007, President Obasanjo approved by the virtue of the Federal Executive Council the national policy on gender, which protects and promotes most of the rights of women, the things we are talking about. It was also reviewed 2016, 2020 again, but nobody is implementing it. And since it just remains a policy and not a law, nobody can be forced to enforce it.
We have women grossly underrepresented when we look at the entire legislative structure of the country. The same thing is happening with the executive positions, which is what the new bill is about, to give more seats to women. And so really, if these seats are achieved, will it close these gaps that have to do with, one, these kinds of crimes that we see and violences against women in the workplace? Will that close the gap?
Nigeria, unfortunately, is ranking 54 out of 54 in Africa. There are 54 countries in Africa, right? When it comes to women in parliament. Rwanda is at the top of it, with about 60% women in the lower house and about 30 in the upper house. Then South Africa and then some other countries. But Nigeria has 3%. The giant of Africa. Yes, the giant of Africa. 3% in parliament, and then about 7.5% in the House of Reps. Meaning in the Senate we have less than 5 women as senators, and in the House of Reps about 15, 16 out of 360 members of the House of Representatives. It is highly and thoroughly embarrassing for a country that prides itself as the giant of Africa. Women are hugely, hugely underrepresented. In fact, we are going towards zero. With what is happening with Natasha, the voices are being silenced more and more. Again, Jonathan has gone down in history since the advent of democracy in 1999 to have had the highest number of women in appointive position. He is followed by Tinubu, who tried recently but has not done enough. The list was Yar'Adua, but we know that Yar'Adua stayed for a very short while. But Buhari also did not do much. So what are we saying? Where are the women that will speak for women? You have a parliament that is dominated by men who do not even understand what gender relations are. I'm sorry to say. When you talk about gender, they misunderstand the concept. They will tell you women want to take over, they don't want to cook in the kitchen anymore, such mundane things, and they laugh it off. But gender issues are development issues. When you leave half your population behind, you don't get them involved in the day-to-day running of your country, you are not succeeding. You cannot be playing football with half your team. 6 people on the football pitch, can you ever win that game? The more women you have in the National Assembly, the more their focus will be placed on maternal and child health. He who feels it knows it. Nigeria is second after India in maternal mortality. No woman should die bringing out a new life. Each day, even in this Abuja, you hear that, she passed on during childbirth or after childbirth or complications of childbirth. That is why we need more women in positions to push for women issues, bring it to the front burner, and ensure that budgets are done in line with issues that affect women. So honestly, it is economically, socially, and politically right to include women and involve women in governance and ensure that they have a say in how the nation is governed.
Okay, I would want to take your closing lines, and that will be you get to find fewer women even contesting public office in the first place, and that is because there's that notion that you should play support services. And in fact, you get people term women who vie for offices as women of low virtue. How do we correct that misrepresentation?
You see, in Nigeria, politics has been monetized to the high heavens. If you don't have money, you can't run. And most women that are qualified to run for offices don't have that kind of money. They are not billionaires, but they are good. They are well educated, well knowledgeable, well experienced, real leaders that can make a difference in society. But you know, they are hindered by the violent, again, nature of politics in Nigeria. Somebody will even put a gun to your head just to discourage you and scare you off. You see them with clubs and knives at political rallies, for God's sakes. You'll be thinking of your children. Yeah. When they kill me, what will happen? You understand? Such things scare women away. And then some women lack the confidence even to come out. With what is happening, well, how can I come out? You know? And then there's one factor. Women lack that experience. Some women. We need women to have more experience in lobbying, in horse trading. We need knowledge, political knowledge, to be able to navigate all the highs and lows of politicking in Nigeria. So these are some of the issues, and it is worrisome. We can see where the men have taken us to, and we have not done well. It means there is a gap. And women coming on board, women, highly intuitive, intelligent, can navigate, can multitask. And women have the natural, emotional intelligence of nurturing. Add this to leadership position and power, and you will see the best of this country. Honestly, we need more women. What we see now is leaders that are emotionally detached from their people. When they say people are suffering, they say, don't worry, they will come through it. While they are suffering, what have you done to cushion that effect of suffering? That is where emotional intelligence comes in, and that's where we know that it's a plus for women when given that position. But I don't think women should be discouraged or deterred. We should come on board as much as we can. It's not about women not supporting women. It's about women being more strategic on how to break all those barriers and contest elections and win elections. Party structures must also be tailored towards focusing on making sure that we have more women. You see, I believe in quotas. Some people will tell you, no, if you don't get it, like Rwanda, South Africa, they institutionalize quotas. Oh, at the party structure, let's have so percentage of women. And at political elective positions, let's start with quotas. There's nothing wrong. That's why I support this special seats for women's bill. That yes, some percentage should be given. And I assure you, when we have more women in parliament, when issues of women come up, the debate will favor women. It will not just be thrown out. Yeah.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to get these insights from you.
Thank you very much, Leah.
Thank you.
And I want to say congratulations for what you are doing.
Thank you.
It takes one with a large lion heart, a bulldozer, to try to do what you are doing. And I know that this is just the starting point.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We move on now to our education segment, Simplified, and from there we take you to a trip around the nation's local commodities market. And we draw the curtains here. You can catch up with market details and more on our sister website. It is www.marketnigeriatv.com. We have all these and more for you there. Also, remember that this episode and every other one is available on YouTube on our channel. It is at Saban Media Services. You can watch The Policy with Leah on our partner stations, Kaftan TV, Global TV Nigeria, and KSMC News. Until we come your way again, same time next week, be safe out there. And God bless Nigeria.